This is Public Enemy Eric Dillinger, and you're listening to Wrestling Nostalgia with Dave Dynasty.
And welcome to Wrestling Nostalgia. I'm your host, Dave Dynasty. Thank you for joining us again this week. And hey, let me give an extra special thank you to each and every one of you. Guys, since we have come back hardcore with Wrestling Nostalgia, our numbers have been through the roof. We have been consistently in a top 200 wrestling podcast in the United States and Canada, oftentimes breaking into the top 150 or above. This is great, guys. I'm so happy. I'm so pleased. I'm glad you missed us while we were kind of taking some breaks. I'm glad that you're glad that we're back. But speaking of the network, make sure you check out the recent Ontario Wildmen episode with guest Rob Fuego. That's out there on the network. You're going to want to hear that. That's a very cool episode. And also, the most recent Ring-a-Ding-Dong Dandy podcast with Frank Cullen, a.k.a. Chick Cullen, a.k.a. Robbie Stewart from Stampede Wrestling. You're going to want to hear that too. Go check those out, along with all the other episodes of those podcasts and Wrestling Nostalgia. Go way back into the archives. We've got tons of interviews, tons of historical episodes. We've got all kinds of cool stuff that you're going to want to hear. If you're new to the show, welcome, and make sure you browse through the archives. And while you're doing that, guys, hit me up. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on Facebook. Hit me up on Instagram. Hit me up wherever. And let me know what you like, right? What are your favorite past episodes of the podcast? What do you like that we've done, that we do? What would you like us to drop? What would you like us to try to add? I'm looking for plenty of feedback. And that feedback can also include rating and reviewing us if you're on Apple Podcasts. That helps us out a ton. But wherever you listen, make sure you subscribe to us. And when we put the episodes out there, make sure you share. Make sure you tell the world to listen to Wrestling Nostalgia. Today, you're going to want to hear this episode because we've got Public Enemy Eric Dillinger on. This is a young guy who you're going to want to know, that you're going to want to watch. Because again, I've said this time and time again about so many things. And guys, it's true. You're going to want to be one of those people that gets to say, hey, I knew him when. I knew him before he was big, because Eric Dillinger is going to be big. So make sure you listen to that episode, or excuse me, the interview we have today. It's very, very cool. Thank you to Ike Isaacs for conducting that. Guys, remember, we've had lots of young talent on this show in the past, and guys that are doing big, big things. I mean, let's keep in mind, everybody loves Mance Warner, right? And what was Mance Warner? When we started this podcast, Mance Warner was on every week with Warner's Wisdom. Guys, you're going to want to check out the archives and check this stuff out. If you're a Mance Warner fan, go back. We've got collections of Warner's Wisdoms, but go way back to our early episodes and listen to those. You can find them on all the platforms on YouTube, and check out Mance Warner when he was just really hitting his stride. But again, we've got interviews with all kinds of legends, all kinds of young guys. We really mix it up. We really try to have a good cross-sectional appeal of varying talent on the show. And again, this interview today is great, and you're going to want to hear it. And go check out Eric on social media. Go check him out at a show. You're going to want to hear that. Not much going on here, and as far as me and relating to wrestling here lately, there's not a lot that I'm watching or doing. This past week was the anniversary, at least of the day of this podcast release, the anniversary of losing Dick the Bruiser in 1991. Of course, my all-time favorite wrestler. So, again, when you're talking about the archives, we got tons of stuff about Bruiser in the archives. But again, one thing I do want to touch on, too, we just switched over to a new hosting platform. I like it a lot better. It's a lot smoother. It's easy to work with. It's got a lot better analytics so that we can really look into who's listening and where they're listening from and things like that. It's really, really cool. But one thing I want to make sure is that everything is migrating properly. So whatever platform you listen to us, make sure we're still there, right? And give me a shout and let me know, hey, I listen on this platform, you're good, or I listen on this platform and you're not good. Of course, if you listen on a platform and we're not good, I'm not sure how you're hearing us right now, but whatever. But anyway, hey guys, thanks for everything you do. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you go hit up Pro Wrestling Tees and buy a shirt. We know the holidays are coming up, and we got lots of cool shirts out there. We've got the Ontario Wildman shirt, the Ring a Ding Dong Dandy shirt. We've got the podcast mask logo shirt. We've got all kinds of cool shirts. The Bruiser Buddy shirt. So go check us out, ProWrestlingTees.com/The Dave Dynasty, and buy a gift for your favorite wrestling fan or for yourself if you feel so inclined. And I think that's all I'm going to do right now. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we will have Public Enemy Eric Dillinger, so stick around. Be sure to follow the Dynasty Wrestling Podcast Network and all of the participating podcasts on social media. The easiest way to find us is on Twitter. You can follow the network at WrestlePods, and you can find all the individual shows at their Twitter accounts. You can find the Wrestling Nostalgia Show at Wrestle Nostalgia, the Ring a Ding Dong Dandy podcast at Stampede Pod, and the Wild Men podcast at Wild Men Podcast. Also search us on Facebook for pages and groups. Participate, interact, join the network, and be a fan. Thank you for your support.
And welcome back to Wrestling Nostalgia. I am your co-host Ike Isaacs, and I am joined today with the one and only Public Enemy Eric Dillinger. How are we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, Ike. I appreciate this time to talk, man. I'm excited to just kind of introduce myself and get to know each other a little bit, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, we're excited to have you on, and thank you again for appearing and giving us a little show, I guess you could say. But let's go ahead and jump right into this. Our first question, as always, when you first started watching wrestling, who were your favorite wrestlers to watch?
Oh, man. Okay. This is always a fun one, and I think I kind of literally wear it on my sleeve a little bit, man. I've got an Ultimate Warrior tattoo on the right bicep there, and I mean, that's legit where it started, man. I always tell everybody, too, it was about the character of the Ultimate Warrior itself, man. I mean, when you're a young kid, it's just like a superhero. You know what I mean? It just pulls you right in. And then at the time, I can still remember to this day, my first VHS was either had a copy of the match on there, but it was Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6. Everybody's Hogan fan, so me being the rebel I am, just was pulling for the Warrior, and then for it to happen, I remember the feeling, and it just have never looked back since.
No, absolutely. And yeah, Ultimate Warrior is one of those guys where it was more about, I feel like, obviously he was a good wrestler, but, the theatrics of it all, the insane personality, the over the top, how he reacted.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
too, man. Just like the running, and just he was always on go mode, and I mean sometimes that's life. You know what I mean? That's how I feel to this day. So.
No, yeah, absolutely, yeah. He was on 100% of the time, and that's man.
Always
amazing,
so, yeah,
absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I would start there. Then, like, as you get older too, man, and you actually, of course, I fell into like the actual match portion of the wrestling. You know what I mean? So like Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair's a big influence. I always credit Terry Funk a little bit with my wild side. And I mean, your Mick Foley's, I mean, the best of the best, man.
Of course. No, yeah, and absolutely. Especially, as you watch wrestling, as you start to get older and you get more involved in the business, your fan, like who you're a fan of, and that kind of evolves a little bit, I feel like. So I feel like that's pretty natural, I feel like. But, obviously being a wrestling fan is a fantastic set of groundworks for, eventually stepping a foot into the business. But eventually you stop being just a fan and you say, I want to do this. So when did wrestling hook you? When did you know that you wanted to become a wrestler?
Oh, man, that's actually a tough call. I can tell you that, like, growing up, I think just like any of us, starting off as like a backyard wrestling type thing, nothing, I don't want to say too dangerous. We'll put it out there. You know what I mean? But just that love of wrestling. And then, honestly, it was the more research I did as I got older. I found Billy Rock was a lot closer to me than I had thought of. You know what I mean? At the time, you think, like, I mean, where do you get started? Where's there a school nearby? Lafayette, Indiana was close to my hometown. And, I mean, I kind of signed up for that, and the rest was history.
Absolutely. So I guess you kind of actually answered two questions in one there. I was going to ask you about, your training and everything else, but obviously,
Oh, my bad. Yeah,
no,
my
you're
bad.
good.
I got to get the roll on here. Yeah.
No, you're
So,
good.
yeah.
No, hey, if you can read my mind, that is perfect. No, I'm
Heck
kidding.
yeah. I get along just fine, man. Yeah.
That's good, man. Hey. But yeah, no, absolutely. So I mean, you kind of explained it already. You kind of stepped into the ring. You got your training and everything else. But of course, a lot of folks kind of start in that background, backyard wrestling background. And yeah, of course, nothing too dangerous, nothing too crazy.
Yeah,
but...
right. We don't tell anybody about the other stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's right. That's right. But so let me pose it to you like this: for someone who's never seen you compete, obviously, for people, I guess, if someone who doesn't watch wrestling is watching this right now, the simplest way, simplest way I could put this, if you had to explain your character and who you are in that ring, what would you explain to someone if they say, "What can I expect out of Eric Dillinger in this match?"
I'll tell you what, man, and I'll censor myself a little bit, but I like one bad mother, you know what I mean? That's about what I like to leave it at. I mean, from what I get told to, I've said this on a couple other interviews I've had before, where my sole goal when I walk out there is to leave you talking about me when you go home. You know what I mean? I want to make those moments for you. I want to be, man, did you see it? Was Eric Dillinger? Did you see that guy? You know what I mean? Like, that is my key. Whether you love me, hate me, you won't be able to not respect me. And that's how, if I had to describe it, I guess, like I said, just one bad MFer, you know what I mean? Is looking for respect. So, and I'll do it at any cost. I will earn that respect no matter what. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And and from what I see, and that is a perfect explanation. That is you in a nutshell for sure. So that's a pretty spot on interpretation.
Well, I appreciate it.
But yeah, so we'll get to this a little bit later. But if anybody out there, hasn't already, definitely check them out in the ring. You'll be a little surprised, I'm sure. And but kind of to go into this a little bit, you obviously are a part of independent wrestling. Independent wrestling right now is probably, I would say, the best that it's ever been, and it's only continuing to get better. Tell us your opinions on what the best and the worst parts of being in independent wrestling is.
Oh man, wow. Okay, cool. And I think some of the best things that I'm a more, you'll come to learn here that I'm a pretty positive guy. So I'll probably have a lot more positives to say than negatives, and that's just how I roll. But some positives, I think right now for me, seeing other people succeed that I've been in locker rooms with, I think is a super cool thing too. You know what I mean? And just knowing, seeing the work ethic of others and just like bonding with people, I mean, all over the country, honestly, man. Like, just recently, I wrestled Arrow Boy from Mexico, and that was a total little language barrier, but it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. Stuff like that, man. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for, experience. The experience in general, you know what I mean? Of just indie wrestling, man. Just getting in a car with some guys or meeting up with the guys that are just working just as hard as you are and just trying to put on the best performance that you all can. You know what I mean? I think that's a huge positive for me. Building a fan base. I know that sounds silly, but I talk about this all the time. It's having fans is not a normal thing for some people. So you know what I mean? It's just like amazing to be able to reach out to some of these people that I've never met before. And here we are having a conversation now. You know what I mean? And I think that's a huge influence for me as well, to see your name, your hard work get recognized, I think. You know what I mean? It's just an amazing feeling that those of us that have had it know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, some negatives, man, is time away from my family. I'm a not too new, but I'm a new dad. I've got a 2-year-old little girl, and I think trying to find the line of, a real work life, a family life, wrestling on the road, gym life. I mean, it's a balancing act, and sometimes some things get in the way of others, So, but that's just sacrifices you make and the prices you have to pay. So, I guess if I had to pick a negative, that would probably be one of the top ones, man.
No, yeah, absolutely. And, let me just say, I love that question because, I always get either there are a handful of answers that I always get for like the negatives and the positives. But I will say one of the positives that I've never heard, what you just said, was that camaraderie and, seeing other people, succeed, especially, yeah, I mean, especially in such a cutthroat business. I mean, you don't really see that kind of positivity in wrestling.
Yeah, trust me, I hear that a lot more often than you think,
Right.
So, and then I do like telling people too, like, man, it's just, maybe we'll go off a little bit here, but that's just who I am, man. I was just raised that way. I'm one of the kind of, I feel like the last of an old school breed a little bit, where I am a true believer in just hard work, positive attitude, and again, busting your ass. I hope I can say that. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. You can say that.
Okay, cool. But like, and then just enjoying the ride. You know what I mean? I'm no different than anybody else. We've all been through things in life, so it's no secret that you only get one shot at it. So you know what I mean? I just try to look at the positives and build people up. And I mean, I think it's awesome when I run into people and then see them on AEW or a tryout or something. That's amazing. I mean, it was cool enough to even be around the guy or girl, whoever it might be. And just, yeah, that's, like I said, like you said, not a lot of people talk about that, but I hope the more I enter other locker rooms, I can lead by example.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. So to kind of actually expand on that a little bit, because another one of the, I guess you could say, negatives that I hear pretty often from a lot of folks, and you kind of even touched on it, obviously part of wrestling is traveling, being away from family and everything else. But with traveling, there is a lot that goes into that, right? So, some folks, they travel by themselves. Some folks, they travel with others. So, as your career has, really started taking off and you're broadening where you're appearing, tell us a little bit about being on the road. Are you traveling by yourself, or do you like to travel with other folks?
No, absolutely, man. I will say this, due to my, just again, hectic life, I am one of those guys that I don't have a spare minute. Every minute counts for something. You know what I mean? So,
right.
I actually do travel a lot more by myself, which I don't mind. I just, it's like I said, I push things to the edge. I'm a procrastinator, you know what I mean, on all levels. So I like, if I'm in a rush, I'm not putting somebody else at a rush. You know what I mean? Again, I like to just kind of have control of my own self here. You know what I mean? So I do travel a lot by myself. But when I do, and I have had either someone jump in a car with me or jumped in a car with someone else, it's never been a bad time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that has been the key to it. Like, just because I do that majority on my own, which is also another little thing that I know you'll probably appreciate this too. But sometimes, man, being by myself, it ain't bad. You know what I mean? It gives me time away to just think about life and whatever match I'm coming up on, or you know what I mean? Just kind of my thoughts in general. I'll throw a podcast on or some tunes and just kind of go and get lost in my thoughts. You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't mind that either. Yeah, like I said, they both bring different aspects of it. I'm not unsocial. I don't want someone to think that. And I really hope that people realize, like, when I do drive by myself, I promise you, I'm just, because I'm late and I'm pushing it to the edge and I don't want you to be there with me. You know what I mean? So.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. No, yeah. And I totally get that, yeah, I enjoy personally, like when I go driving, or if I have to, like, take a trip or whatever, I don't hate driving with other people, but I do prefer, in my opinion, it's not because I don't like people, but sometimes when you get those individual car trips, you can turn on your favorite music, turn on your favorite podcast, you're not trying to consider anybody else in the car, and you can just boom.
Yeah, you're just going, man. Like I said, sometimes I legit just get lost in a thought. You know what I mean? Yep. It's not bad, and I completely agree.
Yep, absolutely. So speaking of being on the go, as a on the show here, me and Dave, we both like food. I guess you wouldn't know that from the fact that we're both fat guys, but when you're on the go, like, when you eat, you got to eat something, right? What are your go-to places to, like, eat? Like, I gotta think that you probably have, like, a preference. You're probably not just running to Mickey D's every day.
I promise you I'm not, man. And I think that is part of it. So I'm actually big on either bringing some food with me. Like you said, sometimes I do have a little bit of a routine. kind of nerves. I think a lot of guys will tell you they don't eat a lot on show day, which I would agree to that. You know what I mean? I keep myself with my normal routine of like protein shakes, just my proper meals. But if I do stop somewhere, man, it is somewhere like more like a sub or something. I try to keep it as healthy as possible. I can't do a lot of grease before a show. You know what I mean? So,
of course.
Yeah, man. Like, where did I just stop the other day? Actually, I was actually surprised myself. Penn Station. I was like, wow, this is a solid change up. You know what I mean? So, stuff like that, though, man. Honest to God, is like how I keep it. And then I am one of those guys. My metabolism's unbelievable, so I'm constantly just burning. I'm sweating. I'm going. So you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So it's either some form of supplemental drinks that I have in my normal routine, protein shakes. I'll tell you what, though, man. If I know it's the last show of my weekend, I'm not afraid to stop and get a pizza or something like that, though. So don't think that either, you know?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Yeah, where was it I went the other day too that I was really surprised because, I don't like eating like a whole crap ton of grease either, especially when I'm out doing stuff. So I feel you there. It was Jimmy John's. I went to Jimmy John's the other day. I was like, man, I forget how good Jimmy John's is until I eat it.
Yes, I'm an advocate of Jimmy John's. That's absolutely what I'm talking about. Yes.
Love it. Oh, but anyways, before I make myself too hungry.
I don't feel that, man.
But so when you're on those trips, you're getting, for people who don't know, because me and Dave, we've traveled some, we've done some different stuff. Like, there have been a handful of times where we've, gone to shows for, commentation and stuff like that. So when you're on that last stretch before you get to the show, you kind of get your mind, psyched up. And when you're in the locker room, you're getting, your mind prepared. So some people like to listen to music or they like to do something like that to get prepared. Are you one of those people that likes to listen to music, or are you one of those people that just kind of, silence, meditation?
I'm definitely more of that style, man. The silence, meditation. I'm a pacer. You know what I mean? Some light stretching in. You know what I mean? I got stuff like that. But I'll tell you, whenever I get asked this question about before, like going out or like, how do I get myself fired up? I will be honest. It's just something I do, and I have to kind of give everybody a warning before I go up the curtain because I'll give myself a couple good slaps to wake myself up, man. You know what I mean? Like, it comes from like a fighter standpoint. I used to do a little MMA as well. So, man, I'll give myself a couple good ones and just, it's showtime. You know what I mean? So that's kind of more my style. I respect the music game, but like, that's more my pre warm up. Like you said, in the car, like I'm jamming, right. You know what I mean? Then once I get there, I'll start thinking, visualizing, and then start pacing. And then you go from there, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And that's honestly, I'm kind of the same way. I'm more of like I don't want to say like I'm a nervous waiter, but like you build up that anticipation. So like you said, you do the pacing, you do like the shake your arms out and just,
Exactly.
That's how I am too. I can't focus on music. I'm like, good Lord, it's too much.
Yeah, that's exactly the good word for it. Like too much, man. Then I'm just like, my brain's all over the place. And not only am I thinking about this, I'm listening to lyrics. I'm like, you know what I mean? Just there's a lot going on. Yeah.
No, I feel you, brother. I feel you. Wow. So that's first and foremost. That's probably those are my favorite questions to ask. Is like, how people travel. Their favorite stuff to eat on the road. That's some of my favorite stuff to talk about because you don't get to hear that a whole lot. Because a lot of the folks who do watch wrestling, they don't see what happens before you get to the venue.
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah.
But so to change gears just a little bit, obviously we've talked a lot about, you're kind of bringing up in wrestling, if you will, from fan to backyard wrestler to getting trained to getting in the ring. We want to talk a little bit about, your career. So what would you consider are some of your highlights of your career so far? Maybe some matches that listeners should watch.
No, absolutely. I think the big one that I credit to kind of getting the ball rolling really going was me and JTG at Mob Rules for New Wave Pro. That was my first, not only, and kind of what we had just talked about, man. growing up watching wrestling, I will put this out there too. I am obsessed with wrestling, so I watch a disgusting amount. It's you know what I mean? Like
Right.
that is, I get yelled at all the time, but that's what I do. So growing up, like, watching Crime Time, like in high school, and having an opportunity to wrestle someone that's, I mean, you've seen the guy, he's in phenomenal shape. It was a big test for me. And then to have a company, and this is kind of a little, I don't want to peel it back too bad, but like to have a company have faith in me to perform at that level with a lot riding on that, you know what I mean? It meant a lot to me too. So I think that was one of my first big ones. And then a lot of it kept snowballing after that. I mean, I did my first TPI for IWA Mid-South, which was a huge deal, I feel like. This is my first year as Eric Dillinger, and I'm in a TPI, face-to-face with Jake Christ. So that was also another test and a great match. Man, I've if you're into the blood and guts a little bit, Josh Crane and I had a Taipei death match for AWR where I actually won my first championship, the Revolutionary Championship, which I still hold today. And that was another one, man. That was my first, I guess, death match, you can say. You know what I mean? And it's a whole different feel, but I was definitely proud of what I put out there. And when you watch the match, too, it's not just blood and guts for the sake of blood and guts. It was something I'm really proud of. It was a really well-told match and story that we had built. And, I could probably keep going. I've had the blessings of, being in the ring with a lot of good guys this year. Larry D, for an Impact Star. I was able to be in the ring with him in a triple threat for IWA. I was in the ring with Calvin Tankman and Sage Phillips in a triple threat for AWR. It was Calvin's on a run, and I mean Sage is phenomenal. So yeah, man. I mean, those would be some main, I guess, opponents that I've had, and those are some of the companies I've been currently working for.
Wow, yeah. And honestly, I guess for people who maybe don't know, TPI, the Ted Petty Invitational, that is honestly one of my favorite. I mean, I've been to a couple of those, and that's probably, obviously it's been years. I've been such a long time, but those are some of my favorite wrestling shows to go to, just because I feel like the energy at those are so just absolutely incredible. IWA Mid-South is a pretty good promotion too, and I've seen quite a few of their shows, and a lot of people don't like death matches. I like them. Dave's not super huge into them, but I'm like, why not?
No, right.
Yeah. I love them. I like all types of wrestling, and Taipei death matches are one of those ones. It's like, it's different. And so, yeah, if you like death matches, you don't mind a little bit of blood, and you can kind of get into the story 100%, that's a good one to watch.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate that. And that's how I felt even in the moment, like to be real with you growing up. I mean, I'll get in the backyard wrestling thing. I've seen my fair share of stuff, especially when that was a popular, thing coming out at the time. But yeah, that wasn't really my thing either. I do credit a lot of my wild side to growing up in what I call the Jackass era. So me and my friends would, you know what I mean? We would record ourselves doing crazy stuff. And I was always that one friend that was like, hey, I bet Eric will jump off that building, or, you know what I mean? Something of that nature. And I usually would do it, So when I come in here, and I try to explain to people the difference too, because it really is an art form as well. I completely agree with that. And to get the reactions from, and just the connections through physical pain, or just like what you're physically putting your body through, it's kind of an enlightening feeling, especially when you're out there doing it. Like just recently, I was asked to step up, and this was a big one. I don't know if people have seen it yet. It's not out, I don't think, on Smart Mark yet, but an unfortunate injury happened during the tournament, and I was asked to step up to John Wayne Murdoch, and I went one-on-one with John Wayne, and the ovation and just the feeling of this, I knew I had done something right and good. You know what I mean? It felt good, and it's hard to explain that feeling when the people appreciate what you just put your body through, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, John Murdoch, he's been on the show before. I've had a chance to talk to him. I'm pretty sure I've talked to him. Pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure now that I think about it, but I have seen him. I have seen him in action before, and he's a hell of a wrestler. So I'll definitely have to check that out. But it's honestly, wrestling, it's such a diverse art form. There's like, I feel like a lot of people, they like to discount things like death matches and everything else. And there's all kinds of different wrestling out there for, different strokes for different folks. But
no, absolutely. You're not wrong. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think the important thing is that, because I know that there are some pretty staunch, I would say, anti-deathmatch people out there. I don't know why per se, but leave it alone.
Yeah, if it's I agree. If it's not your thing, by all means, let it go. You know what I mean?
Right.
For maybe somebody that's looking, if someone's listening to this and debating on it, not to put myself over a little bit, but if you want to check out like I strive on telling a good story, because I mean that's what made me fall in love with wrestling in the first place. You know what I mean? When you can get pulled in and it isn't just sometimes. I mean, chaos for chaos can be a lot of fun too, but if you're looking for, they don't tell stories, they don't do this, I completely disagree, and I would strongly suggest maybe checking out, like I said, one of mine or some of the top ones that you've maybe heard of before.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to take another real quick redirection. We're kind of going back and forth here, but, learning a little bit about some of the promotions you work for and some of the people that you've been in the ring with and some of your highlights. And we've also learned a little bit about, how you get to and from the shows and how you, get yourself hyped up before a match and all of that. Another thing we like to kind of look at, and you've kind of touched on this a little bit, is we kind of like to take a look at the more, I guess you could say, personal side of things.
Yeah.
You've already touched on the kind of the struggles of balancing your wrestling career and your personal life, but we want to kind of touch on the more positive aspect of what's maybe one thing that your fans don't know about you.
Interesting. Oh man. Okay. Oh. Well, maybe you can. It's new on my chest, so I'll say this. I'm a big Disney guy. You know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds crazy, but through my fiance, who is going to be my wife here shortly.
Congratulations.
My daughter. Yeah, thank you so much, man. Actually, December. We haven't really told a lot of people, so when this comes out, there it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. And my daughter. Growing up, I grew up in a very, how can I put this? Like a poor household, you know what I mean? And I never went on these vacations. I never even left my town, you know what I mean? So as I got older and started being able to travel more, which I do credit to wrestling, you know what I mean, which was nice. And then meeting her and going new places, I fell in love with things like just Disney World, man. I go every year now. So I went from never going to now every year we plan a trip, and it's just one of those things that I'm sure you see my pictures of me covered in blood or hear me cussing somebody out on a promo, but I'm a Disney guy, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Hey, no, Disney's no joke, man. I mean, first of all, Disney owns everything now, but
yeah, no, man. And they always get to me too. Every time they just hit me with some knowledge or just right in the feels, and I'm like, man.
Oh yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, I'm a huge Pixar fan. Obviously, I like Disney too, but Pixar movies are I feel like those are the Disney movies that I really align with.
Oh yeah.
Have you? Oh God, which one was it? I always forget the name. Have you ever seen Coco?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, real quick. My fiance is actually Hispanic, so that's a big one in the house. You know what I mean? So.
Well, weirdly enough, my wife is also Hispanic, so I feel you, man. I feel you. Well, we love Coco. Coco, honestly, that's become probably my top 5 favorite wrestling movies, or wrestling movies. What the hell am I talking about? Disney movies.
It gets intense in Coco, you know what I mean?
Right? They're dropping elbows.
Yeah, exactly.
I love Coco. I'll just sometimes I'll be hanging around the house or whatever, and I'll just start singing Un Poco Loco just because why not?
Oh, man. Yeah, me and the guys in some of our group texts, we'll send each other snapshots because some of them, the other ones are dads. And we'll get a rotation of something that'll pop up like Un Poco Loco, Proud Cortisone.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And we'll send screenshots because I don't turn it, man. I'm getting ready to lift 10 times harder because this is going.
Right. That's absolutely right. Oh man, yeah. I love it. So I guess to kind of continue on that track, because Disney movies are fantastic. What is your favorite Disney movie?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
It is.
Yeah, you know what I mean. That's where. Let me think on it. But since my daughter was born, man, that's where like I'll probably pick a newer one. You know what I mean? I did grow up with the classics, but I will say like the new one that I haven't really shown it off too much, but I have a Heart of Tafiti on my pack here, and those close to me know that that's my daughter's like one of her favorites. It's literally our morning routine. I posted a video recently on a personal page where she like is watching the video, and it's the part where she connects the Heart of Tafiti to her to unveil the beautiful side of her. And I scroll over to see my daughter, and she's just staring at me with these eyes, and like she could not be more into it. You know what I mean? So I'll probably go with a Moana one right now. And I also I like Moana too because again, what we talked about, it's about like. I mean, you can be afraid, but don't be afraid to go chase your dream or go, you know what I mean? Go do what you think is right. And that's her whole point is she wants to return the heart, and she was chosen. And it's just kind of funny how some of these things connect to us. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Disney movies are fantastic at being relatable and sending a message when that message needs to be sent. And it's honestly, Disney movies are crazy like that.
Yeah.
It's just, oh man, there's so much good stuff.
Oh man, I was gonna say the same thing. I'll give you one last little more to the Heart of Tafiti one too.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, man. So I got it too. So I'm actually 4.5 years sober from alcohol now, and me and my fiance, we've been together for 10 years, so we've been through a lot together, you know. And that part where they sing the song and it's like, this is not who you are, you know who you truly are. And then she puts it on there and then she unveils, you know what I mean? It felt like, being sober and breaking that mold of, you know what, that's not who I am. You know what I mean? I promise I'm a good person. I was going to change my life, and I have, so yeah, kind of one of those little meanings.
No, absolutely. And well, first of all, congratulations so much on, keeping that sobriety, because, I have some people pretty close to me that struggle with that, and it's hard, man. It's hard seeing people go through that, but I know it's even harder being in that situation. So I'm really happy for you, man. Really.
Oh, dude, thank you so much, man. It means a lot, and I think it goes to show too what I meant by like always on the go. I think somebody that knows the feeling, just staying busy. That's my key. Yeah. You know what I mean? So.
Absolutely, it 100% is. Busy, being busy is a good way.
That the gym, you know what I mean? The gym will help you out too. Yeah,
that's right. Oh man, but wow. So, in case anybody out there is keeping track, Moana is a fantastic movie. If you've never seen it, I'd be so shocked. I guess it's like maybe this is my privilege showing here, but I'd be really shocked if somebody hadn't seen like some of these big Disney movies. But maybe people don't care for Disney movies. I don't know, but
I know that's on them. That's their happiness. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's right. But also for the record, my favorite Disney movie is Hercules. Yep. Love Hercules.
Oh, love it. Love it though. Classic.
Oh yeah, classic. I love. Can't remember the guy's name. I think it's Bart Allen. Maybe he sings "I Can Go the Distance." That's one of my favorite songs in that movie for sure.
Yeah. I'm a James Bond guy too, so Hades, you know what I mean? That's awesome.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Hades is iconic. I want that's a live action one that I would love to see, because like you said, James Woods, that Danny DeVito's in that movie too.
Oh, come on, man. Yeah, exactly.
Man. But all right, should probably stop talking Disney. This isn't the Disney podcast, I suppose. Yeah, unfortunately,
that's my dad showing through. You know what I mean? The dad,
right? No, and I'm such a Disney adult. I mean, maybe that's just because like I'm a millennial, and that's like the stereotype. You're either a Disney adult or a Halloween fanboy. But
I mean, just spot on there, though. I'll give you that.
Right. But oh man, so we've learned a lot about you. We've learned. Some, not only just your life inside the ring, but outside of the ring and everything else. So I guess something that I love to ask people is, first and foremost, 2021 is almost over, which is absolutely insane.
Insane, man.
So what are your goals for the remainder of this year as we somehow enter 2022?
Yeah, no, I feel that, man. Well, you know what's so funny is because I've got a couple big shows still coming up, and those are like my priorities. And then obviously, so I'll start there. You know what I mean? So this weekend I've got a big one. Tomorrow is a Higher Grounds taping for New Wave Pro, where I will be going toe to toe with Mad Dog Conley, who's on a pretty good run and a rise right now himself. Guy's a tank. He's awesome, super strong. You know what I mean? And then I've got a big street fight with a friend of mine, Nate Matthews for New Wave Pro. We've kind of had some tensions building after our last match, which I did not get a chance to put that in there. But I will say, if you have not seen me and Nate at Off the Grid, it was, and these are not my words, it was very well talked about by a lot of the community, the wrestling community, which I greatly appreciated from everybody, because it was where one of my first times where chemistry had happened, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like with someone, and yeah, we tore it down. So I do want to put that match over as, I mean, my best wrestling match I've had, but me and Nate are going to go at it in my element this time, a street fight. So I've got that, and then even the next day, I face Akira in Michigan for AWR at the Casanova Presents, I believe it's a deathmatch card. And, yeah, it's going to be a no-ring deathmatch. So I still have a really busy in-game to 2021 on top of me getting married in December. So I'm going to try to keep this face as pretty as I can, but we'll see how that turns out.
Oh, Lord. Oh, so that sounds insane. I mean, planning a wedding, not being a wrestler was, intense. So I imagine that you have your work cut out for you, friend.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, then I say things like this because then I was like, yeah, I've got this going on. And then I told you last second I stepped in with John Wayne Murdoch the other night. So, I mean, right. Who knows what can happen between right now and the end of the year, brother. But I'll tell you what, I guess to answer the question too, my goal for the end of the year is to just continue to put on match of the night and just to show everyone that I mean what I say when I tell you when I go out there, I'm going to give you 110% and I'm going to put on the best show possible. So that would be my goal for the rest of the year, man.
Wow. That's all you can do. Put on the best show possible. Rock and roll.
Thank you, bro. I mean, that's what I try to say. I don't just talk about it. I am about it. You know what I mean? So let's do it.
That's right. Absolutely. Hell yeah. But all right. So as we kind of wrap up a little bit, another thing that that we like to do on here is with professional wrestling in the independent, arena, if you will, one of the most important things is social media. Do you have any social medias where people can follow you in your career and maybe even check out a couple of your matches?
No, absolutely, man. I'm on actually Facebook, Twitter, and my Instagram. So you can check me out on Facebook. Just look up Eric Dillinger, the page. I try to keep everything on there, from promos, matches, upcoming matches. I'm doing better about Twitter, and I am gaining more followers. That was just a newer one to me, but I mean, this year's been pretty good to me. So I'm doing better on there, I promise. But that's my Twitter's at Eric Dillinger 5, and then my Instagram is the same. Just you can look up. I think it's Eric_Dillinger 2020. So yeah, man. And I'm usually, if I do one, I'm doing all three type thing. So I try to keep up regularly with all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Social media it's first of all, it's important, but it is so hard.
Oh my goodness, yeah, man.
It is rough. I see why these, the big wrestlers and everything else, I see why they have people who do it for them.
Tell me about it, man. I wish that one day that'll be the case. I hope,
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't mean in a bad way, but to tell you how times have changed a little bit too, man. Things are just moving so fast, and content's coming out. I mean, every second, you know what I mean? Somebody's dropping something, or so you got to be on your game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Man, it's crazy. This world's crazy. The information age is here, and I don't like it. No,
I'm not either, man. I'm trying to hang on for the ride, brother.
That's right. That's right. Hanging on for dear life, man.
That's it.
Lord. All right. Well, hey, first and foremost, everybody out there who is listening to this, if you've made it this far, go ahead and go out there and follow all of Eric Dillinger's social medias. Check him out there. Look him up anywhere you can. Follow his pages. Follow his career. Go see him in person. You will not be sorry. Or maybe you will. Maybe he'll get in your face or something. I don't know. We'll see. But well, Eric, thank you so much for taking the time out of your night to have a conversation with us and let us see a little bit about who you are inside and outside the ring. It's very greatly appreciated, and it's been an honor to get to talk to you today.
No, man, I appreciate it. No, honestly, God, the pleasure's all mine, man, and I would glad to come on anytime I'm available. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to pass it back off to Dave, and he's going to continue with Wrestling Nostalgia.
Support all of the podcasts here on the Dynasty Wrestling Podcast Network. The best way to do that is go to our Pro Wrestling Tees store. It is at PROWRESTLINGTEES.com/TheDaveDynasty. There you will find all of the shirts that we offer: I Heart Old School Wrestling, Bruiser Buddy, the Podcast Mask shirt, and of course, the official shirts for the Ontario Wildman and the Ring a Ding Dong Dandy podcast. Visit ProWrestlingTees.com/TheDaveDynasty, order a shirt, and support the network. If you would also like to support, you can join our Patreon. It's at patreon.com/DaveDynasty. There you will get exclusive audio and video clips, early releases on podcasts, and much, much more. And if you would just like to make one-time contributions to support us, you can go to paypal.me/TheDaveDynasty. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for listening. Continue to support independent wrestling podcast. All right, and welcome back to Wrestling Nostalgia with Dave Dynasty. We're not going to do a promo thing today with the best bad promos or whatever you want to call it. We're going to skip that for this week. We're just going to let this thing ride on the strength of Eric Dillinger being on the show. Thank you to him for coming on. Thank you to Ike Isaacs again for the interview. And guys, make sure you help spread the word like I asked earlier. Share the podcast. Tell everybody to, hey, give us a chance. Listen to Wrestling Nostalgia. Like I said, it is your new favorite wrestling podcast. You may not know it yet, but we are. So anyway, thank you for all your support for these several years we've done this. Every week, it's great, man. It's like I said, the numbers have been astonishing, really, really strong. I'm really, really happy, and it's all because of you guys. So thank you very much. And that's it. We're gonna have some more cool interviews coming up in the coming weeks. I got some more history episodes lined up that you're gonna love. Again, like I said earlier, interviews with legends, with newcomers. And if you're a talent that's out there, if you'd like to be on the show, hit me up. We'll see what we can do. If your credentials, jive with our philosophies here on the show, we can do that. Even if you're kind of new to the game, we like giving young guys a chance to introduce themselves to the world. So hit me up on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever it may be, and pitch your case. And maybe we can work something out, and you can appear on the show. So until next week, I am Dave Dynasty. This is Wrestling Nostalgia, and wherever you go and whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.